let's talk about your brain. What if the food on your plate today could literally change how your brain ages decades from now? Well, that's what we're going to dive into, the really surprising connection between the fat we eat and our long-term brain health. It's a question a lot of us ask ourselves, right? Especially if it runs in the family. It's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking, well, it's in my genes. There's not much I can do. It feels like your fate is already sealed. And this is exactly the mindset. A kind of genetic doom and gloom sets in where you feel totally powerless against what's written in your DNA. But what if that whole assumption is just completely wrong? That's right. The science is actually crystal clear on this. What you eat can dramatically lower your risk of Alzheimer's, even if you carry those so-called bad genes. The truth is, you have way more power here than you've probably ever been told. Okay, so why does fat matter so much in this conversation? Well, get this. Your brain, that incredible supercomputer between your ears, is nearly 60% fat. 60%. So it makes total sense that the type of fat you eat is absolutely critical for its structure, its function, its everything. And we know this because of some incredible research. Scientists pulled together 13 different clinical studies, what's called a meta-analysis, and looked at a massive group of 21,000 people. They wanted to get a really clear answer on which fats are harming our brains and which ones are helping. And the results that came back, wow, they were stark. It was like a clear story of heroes and villains when it comes to dietary fat and your brain. Let's break down exactly what they found. All right, first up, the villains. The study found that people who ate the most saturated fat, we're talking the kind you find in a lot of red meat, processed meats, and fried foods, had a 39% increased risk of developing Alzheimer's. 39%. That's a huge deal. And believe it or not, it gets worse. Trans fats, the stuff that often lurks in ultra-processed foods, were linked to an even higher risk. The people who ate the most of this stuff had a staggering 48% increased risk. That is just wow. But okay, enough with the bad news. Let's bring in the heroes of our story. The study found that people who consumed the most omega-3 fats had a 28% lower risk of Alzheimer's. So you see what's happening? These fats are literally pushing your risk in completely opposite directions. So why the huge difference? Well, it all goes down at the cellular level. Think of it like this. The bad fats, like saturated and trans fats, are like little wrecking balls. They promote inflammation and they actually damage the protective walls of your brain cells. But the good fats, the omega-3s, they're like the repair crew. They reduce inflammation and they strengthen those same walls, making your brain cells tougher and more resilient. So it seems pretty simple, right? Avoid these fats, eat those fats. But science loves a good plot twist. It turns out researchers have found one specific type of saturated fat that might actually be a good guy. It's called C15. It's pretty new on the scene, only discovered less than a decade ago. And here's the thing, our bodies don't make it, which means we have to get it from our diet. In fact, some scientists are now saying it might be an essential fatty acid, just like omega-3s. So what's its superpower? Well, C15 is a total workhorse for your cells. First, it helps restore your mitochondria, the tiny little battery packs inside your cells. It also cools down chronic inflammation. It reinforces those cell membranes, and it activates master switches that regulate your metabolism. It's basically a cellular superstar. Okay, so we've got bad fats, good fats, and this new surprising fat. It sounds complicated, right? Who has the time to track every single one of these things? Well, the great news is you don't have to. The answer lies in a way of eating that science has proven over and over again is a winner, the Mediterranean diet. And this, right here, might be the most powerful, most hopeful finding of all. A huge study from Harvard and MIT looked specifically at people with the ApoE4 gene. That's the one that gives you the highest genetic risk for Alzheimer's. And they found that even those individuals could dramatically lower their risk by eating a Mediterranean diet. This is the proof. This shows that your diet choices can help you overcome your genetics. So what does this actually look like in real life? Honestly, it's simple and it's delicious. You just start building your meals around the produce section. Lots of colorful veggies, fruits, herbs. You make healthy fats from things like olive oil and seafood, the stars of the show. And you mix in whole grains, beans, and nuts. See? It's a pattern of eating, not some crazy restrictive diet. All right, we've covered the science, the why. Now, let's turn all this knowledge into a really practical plan that you can start using today to protect that amazing brain of yours. Here it is, 5 simple steps. Number 1, cut way down on those bad saturated and trans fats from red meat and processed foods. 2, prioritize the good omega-3 fats from seafood like salmon and sardines. 3, make extra virgin olive oil your go-to cooking oil. 4, build your meals around plants. And 5, aim to get some kind of seafood on your plate 2 to 3 times a week. That's it.
The power to protect your brain is truly in your hands, and it starts with your very next meal. So after hearing all this, my question to you is, what's the one change you're inspired to make today? What's the first thing you'll add to your plate?